awesome talk that I know we're excited to hear about MicroVMs and for what this can do. So I am going to you want to share your desktop and I'll pull you up.
And this is like, I just want to give it like, I have this like, I absolutely love any virtualization technology. That's kind of like, I've been fooling with virtualization for forever, for decades or whatever. And I was so blown away when I saw this project and just how well packaged, because this stuff is complicated. Like this VM crap, there's a lot of amazing stuff going on under the hood, but like so how cleanly this was put together was like very impressive. And it, like I just, anyways, sorry. Really
Thanks.
The floor is yours. We're super excited to hear about it.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, I believe I'm sharing already.
You are sharing, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Steven Akinyemi, and I'm pretty excited to be here. I was going to talk about like, anyway, yeah, so I want to talk about MicroVMs today and why we have to move on from containers and why containers are not adequate for the things that we're using AI agents for. First, my background. So I attended University of Lagos and I studied social sciences. But while there, I just wasn't very interested in social science halfway through my course, and I decided programming made more sense, and I was more interested in making computers do stuff. So yeah, after I left school, I decided to just focus on programming career. And not long after that, I was delving into low-level stuff, building compilers. I was really interested in programming languages. I was actually working on a programming language. And at some point, I realized I discovered WebAssembly through like the programming language community, because it's supposed to be this target for other programming languages to compile to. And as you can imagine, WebAssembly has sandboxing properties, which actually led me into this whole sandboxing space. So I was one of the early contributors to the WASMA WebAssembly runtime. And yeah, that's gaining huge interest in the crypto Web3 space right now. Eventually, I had to work on, I had to deal with untrusted user code. And this was for a no-code platform. And I was using V8 isolate for that. And at some point, I realized like this WebAssembly and V8 isolate all have their issues. Specifically, they cannot run legacy software. You cannot run just any Linux software on them. And that got me into MicroVMs last year. So yeah, I'm in MicroVMs because you can pretty much run any stuff, and it has hardware level isolation. Yeah, so that's my background, and I just want to talk about AI agents in general. And you might ask, what are even AI agents? I know a lot of the people here already know what AI agents are about, but I tend to follow this anthropic model of AI agents, which is essentially like an LLM with a loop, an LLM in a loop that is making two calls, doing retrieval and reading and writing to memory. Yeah, so the interesting thing about AI agents is that one particular kind of AI agents has found like product market fit, and that's coding AI agents. And as you're probably familiar with all these logos, Cloud Code, Bolt, Lovable. And the interesting thing about all of them is that they all need sandboxes. And they need sandboxes because you need to run untrusted code. And there are different ways for you to run untrusted code. One, you can run it on your bare machine, but as we all know, on arbitrary code on your machine is probably not the greatest idea. So because of some attacks that you could encounter like prompt injection, vulnerabilities, supply chain attacks, malicious code generation. I mean, the AI agent could be generating any kind of code you're not super sure. And that's why we have the human in the loop thing. And also workspace pollution, right? So sometimes you just don't want it to generate code within your workspace. You want your workspace clean. And these are the reasons why we need sandboxes. So one of the things you could try is you could try and run it in containers. But containers have their limitation. So the thing about containers is that they run on your host kernel. That is, they run directly on your host kernel. You're just creating these C groups and namespaces to prevent, to kind of like create a sandbox around the applications that you're running and to give them a new namespace. But the problem with this idea is that any vulnerability within the Docker engine itself can just leak into the host operating system. So yeah, and that brings us to a new way. I mean, it's not new, but it's recent. So MicroVMs are a different way, and it was kind of championed by Amazon with their Firecracker technology. So Amazon, essentially what they've done is they stripped down a typical traditional VM and they made it very, very, very lean. So essentially they make the guest OS parts very lean. And yeah, so the difference between a container and a MicroVM here is that the MicroVM actually, the app is running within a virtual environment, a virtual machine, I mean, and it has hardware level isolation. So the app cannot escape into, I mean, cannot is a, but yeah, it's harder for the app to just escape into the host operating system because it has this hypervisor in between, and that's what provides the hardware level isolation. And it also comes with its own guest kernel. And yeah, so that's the cool thing about MicroVMs. And so why am I talking about this? And I'm talking about this because I created Micro Sandbox recently. And Micro Sandbox is meant to make this entire process easy. So typically most developers are they're more like used to like container type workflow. And Micro Sandbox is supposed to bring like the same kind of experience that you get from things like Docker to micro VMs as well. So it's supposed to make creating VMs actually easier. It's still a work in progress, but it's still very, very early. So what does Micro Sandbox actually provide on top of like the underlying VMM? So we use Libcaron VMM, and this is like Firecracker. You can imagine it as Firecracker actually. And Libcaron creates the actual micro VM. So Micro Sandbox just builds on top of that and provides like image management, orchestration, overlay FS, because typically there's no overlay FS implementation for macOS. There is one for Linux, but there's none for macOS. So Micro Sandbox actually implements that. And the interesting thing here is that the same overlay FS implementation is actually the same with the one that we offer on Linux. So what is overlay FS actually? Overlay FS is just a file system that abstracts the underlying host file system. It essentially creates a new file system for you to work with in your VM. And then we have the state management and then things like MCP support. So yeah, that's it about MicroVM. So I'm going to get into the demo of Micro Sandbox.
This looks really cool, Stephen. I'm excited to see the demo. How long have you been working on this?
So I've been working on it since for like 8 months now, since October around October. That's when I started. yeah, you could install like Microsandbox from get.microsandbox.dev, but I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that.
Oh, I don't.
Stephen, we're still seeing the demo slides, not your window.
Wait, what? Okay.
Slide down, maybe. Switch screens. Ooh.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah, maybe share the whole desktop. Yeah.
Let me know when you get it up.
Okay, trying again.
You're probably loving this. He always gets such a kick out of his little micro virtualization things.
Okay. Okay. Send it. How about now? Can you see my terminal?
There it is. You're live.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy to install Microsandbox, but
Wait, so we,
yeah.
we see like ChatGPT. Just make sure that we're seeing that screen or whatever. So, do you have a terminal open?
Sorry, I did not get what you said, man.
Oh, I'm saying that we see your desktop, like you have ChatGPT open and YouTube. Is that the?
Oh no, that's not it.
Wrong screen.
Gosh, lost him. He's totally gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, like not just his screen, but he's gone.
Yeah, he might have closed the browser because that has StreamYard in it.
Close the browser, which has StreamYard in it. Oh, funny.
Yeah.
What do you think? You want to live demo his product?
Yeah, I'm sure you'll come back in a second. Yeah.
Wait, you're back. We lost you, man.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Again.
Try one more.
I think it should be. Yeah, it should be correct now.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. Now we see a.
This is right.
Cool.
We'll just get that out in post. Don't worry.
We do zero editing.
Yeah. Cool. So you can actually just like once you've installed a Microsandbox, you have this MSB command you can work with, and there are many things that you can do. But I think the most important one here, in relations to AI agents, is that you can start a server, and what the server does essentially is to create a server that you can send your code to, and the server is going to take the code and run it in the sandbox. Yeah, so that's what I mean. By the name, you kind of get what it does. So I've already set up I've already set up like the tool in Cloud, and you can sort of see like the tools that are available to Microsandbox. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you start Microsandbox, it itself it can be exposed as an MCP server. So then you can just directly interact with the sandboxes with AI.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a way for me to check here. The connectors, manage connectors. Yeah. Okay. I thought I would see the setting there, but it's not there. Anyway, but it's connected right now. So I had to add it to the Cloud config, and it looks like this. So this is the entry I added. So apparently you cannot. There's no easy way to add a remote MCP server right now, and MSB server is a remote MCP server. At least I've not been able to get it to work. So if you can just add this entry to your Cloud config, yeah, and you should be ready to get started. So what I'm going to do now is to get to create a website. And yeah, so it's going to start a simple server, a simple static file server at ports 6060, and this might take a while.
Stephen, we're getting a little bit of that feedback from your loop. Do you want to mute your line for just a second and then bring it?
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, that fixed it. We just mute and unmute.
Okay, so what this essentially does is it's like the AI agent, I mean, Claude in this case, just goes on to start the sandbox. It defines like the kind of sandbox it wants, and it uses this image. And because I've mentioned that I want a node server, so it's creating a node server sandbox, and it's exposing the ports because I already mentioned it here. And I expect this to actually go on and set up a node server. Oh my God, this is slow. But yeah, this might take a while.
So it's actually starting it's starting up the sandbox. It's writing the code into the sandbox, and eventually it's going to run this just arbitrary code.
Yeah, that's what's going to do.
So basically, just so I'm kind of following this from a non-developer perspective, this is running a local VM on my machine that is fully isolated from my local environment, where I can
exactly
things, but also get all the power of the VM. I can run
exactly
a separate operating system that I can do anything to as an MCP that I can engage with.
Yeah, pretty much. It creates the sandbox. It creates a fully isolated MicroVM for you that you can pretty much do whatever without worrying about the consequences, I guess. Yeah, that's what it does.
Very cool, man. This is really cool.
Sorry, can you mute again just for a second? Just because it keeps getting the feedback thing. So can you show so what's really interesting with this project? So because can you show like quickly the Python API you have for this too? There's a Python API binding that I saw.
Are you referring to like the SDK?
Yeah. So then like you can just say like run code type thing.
Okay. So I don't have that.
I don't need you to demo it. I was just saying like you just pulled up your docs just to show it. Okay. You don't need to demo it. I realize that's too much. I wanted to just kind of clarify, like just for Shannon, or a little slightly less, like kind of what you can do with this, because this is a very cool primitive that so like just scroll up. So here you can see. So what you can do with this is you can write very simple like Python, or I think you have other SDK ones where it's like. So there's kind of two approaches that you can do with these micro sandboxes. Is you can create an MCP server, or it is an MCP server, and AI can talk directly to it. Or instead, what you can do is write your own like MCP server or tool or whatever that calls this, like just through this SDK. And so in this example here, like you're just creating a Python sandbox and you give it some Python code, and then it just goes and executes that code. But like what's happening under the hood is it's launching a full VM with a full environment. So because it's a very common thing where it's like, because we see this where it's like, if we give AI agents the ability to dynamically create and execute code, they can do a lot more. They can do a lot more computations and stuff like that. But the problem is how much access do you give them? So there's projects like I think Pyode, I think that might be one of them, where it's like you can do Python, which translates to WebAssembly. And so people are doing that today. But the problem is it's extremely limiting what it can do. So the cool thing about this is this gives you the full functionality of like you can run any tool, anything that like the operating system can support, but it's completely secured. So like the ability, if you can take Micro Sandbox and you can, so you can create more tools where it's like, for like anything where it's like you just want to give AI the ability to just arbitrarily generate and run stuff or install things, like because like one of the cool things that we've found is like AI works extremely well if you just give it the CLI, and it will like apt-get install and it will do all of this stuff. But of course, like you don't know what it's going to do, so like you want to put it into a sandbox. So like with Micro Sandbox, it just makes creating these things so easy, and they're very lightweight too, such that like you could create your own MCP server that's doing all this fancy stuff pretty easily. It just kind of made this whole kind of secure execution just seamless and simple. And so just want to
that's essentially the plan. The plan was to kind of allow, like, if you're not to allow like a programmatic way of accessing the MicroVM itself, or to have like a server, like an MCP server just set up. If you're not interested in writing the code yourself, you can just like set up the server. And actually, I was already working on something like DXT for Microsandbox, but I couldn't get it to work in time. But yeah, the point is to be able to drag this DXT, Microsandbox DXT, into your Cloud desktop app, and just have like Microsandbox a sandboxing access.
Because I'd love to see like like a DXT, like a tool that like just gives me basically like a virtual Linux machine, and I can just start letting it just do that's exactly what this is doing. So I just think it's like an amazing, it's a highly technical thing that you've done. It's pretty low level, but for people to understand like the complexities of generating and running untrusted stuff, this solves it in a really pretty simple way, and it's very secure, and it's fast. It's like secure, fast, and there's very little. It's like you can kind of do everything, as opposed to like WebAssembly, which people seem to like a lot, comes with a lot of caveats.
Yeah, this is cool. Actually, yeah, I get it.
This was the end result of what Claude finally created. Was this project here?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. I like this because just imagine testing. Like even when you're working and you're you're working with Claude Code and stuff, you want to start testing local apps, things like that. Being able to run a MicroVM there, fully isolated without it, like I think you're going to get way better results, because it's actually going to do packaging and testing way better than I think it's done in the past. This was awesome, guys. I know we're out of time. I want to thank you, Stephen, for coming and sharing this with us. Very cool. Congratulations on the company, and it's Zerocore AI. That's the name of the company.
Yeah.
Love it. And we'd love to have you back, man, as you guys sort of move towards products. People can find this, all of this stuff at MicroVM. What's the web URL again?
Microsandbox. It's just the GitHub projects right now. For now.
If you just search for Micro Sandbox on GitHub, I think you'll find it there.
We'll put it in the links. We'll put it in the links below. Super cool work, buddy. Darren, anything else?
Oh no, I think we're out. But I'm curious to see where you go with this. I'd love to see kind of people pick this up and see what they can do with it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Stephen. Have a great day. Everyone, thanks so much for joining us for a longer than usual stream, and hopefully it was useful. We'll be back next week, and look forward to talking to you there. Come see us in London. This is super exciting. I'm really excited about the MCP Summit in London. We just announced it's going to be really fun and really awesome. So hopefully we'll see a lot of you there in October. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day.